All right, so in this video, we're going to build an entire website from start to finish using AI. And the project we're going to be working on today is called Claude Deploy. So I've set up a few open Claude instances for agencies, and it's gone really well. I have a background in security, software engineering, and agency work of 20 plus years. So I'm excited to be able to offer this exact product to businesses. But before I can do that, we need to get the name out there. We need to build this business. So I'm going to walk through this entire process using AI, using Claude, Cursor, and Netlify. So I have Cursor open up here. I've already connected to my Linux machine for our new project, Claude Deploy. So in another window, I have Claude Desktop opened, which I could have planned out in Cursor as well, but Cursor wasn't open yet. I literally just opened up Claude Desktop, started planning this idea out, and made the decision to build it. So we're going to take this information that's in Claude Desktop and move it over to Cursor. So that way we have all the context there to build out this entire platform. So here, I'm just going to say, give me the full context of what we're building here. So that way I can take the plan and put it into Cursor and continue the development from there. Let me just switch this to plan. All right, so let's have this plan built. So while that's working, I'm going to come over here and set up my workspace here. So we need to open up the terminal because we're going to use Claude inside of here. You can actually take this and bring it up here. Let's go full screen. I do like to have the code editor open just because I like to know a little bit of what's going on and as well as see the file structure as we're working on things. But if you didn't want to do this, you could just switch over to agent mode to hide all of this. But this is how we're going to do it for now. So I have our normal chat open over here. We'll just go ahead and switch to Composer as the default. Over terminal, open with Claude, and we're using Sonnet 4.5 for now. If it does get a little hairy, we'll switch to Opus, but Sonnet does really well. And I think it's plenty for this project that we're building, which is basically just a waiting list style website. All right, it's a pretty big plan. I'm just going to copy here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. As a markdown file, I don't know. Let's see what it looks like when we paste it. Okay, good. It copied the markdown. Perfect. Go ahead and save this. And let's have Claude read what's going on. All right, so we've read through the entire plan. Claude now knows what's going on. Let's see if it had any clarifying questions. It does. Let me just answer these real quick. All right, so I just gave it some quick answers. Even have a typo in there, but Claude's pretty smart. Let's check out the website. Okay, while that's working, we're going to go to Netlify. Let me bring it over to this window. All right, so we got Netlify open right here, and we're going to create a new project. We don't want a new team, we want a new project. All right, so let's see what its recommendations are. I'm just going to write my responses over here and then paste them all at once. Okay, so I have a lot of content here. Let's go down and paste it. So I've answered a lot of the questions. Now it's just going to look through this, make sure it's rock solid of a plan. We're going to update the plan if needed, and then we'll start moving into development. All right, so it's updated its understanding. Let's make sure they update the plan also. Next steps. Option A, update the plan document. Yes, we want to do that. Start building immediately and then do a hybrid. It's very important to have the plan how we want it first. So I don't know why it's recommending B or C, but that's why we humans are still in control. So finish updating the plan, update the plan doc. We'll start building from there. And to answer your questions, we don't have a logo yet. We do have the domain registered, and I don't have any color or style preferences right now. We'll wait and see how it turns out and tweak it from there. And then just to make sure it doesn't start building, don't start building anything yet. Just update the plan and we'll start a new session, which is going to read from the plan and start building from there. Okay, so we got our completed plan here. I went ahead and moved it into a folder, planning docs. We should be good to go. So what I'm going to do here is clear it out. And we're going to say, well, first, let's make sure we do this. So we're going to go ahead and create a Git repo here and check out dev. All right, perfect. We're in dev, which you can see down here at the bottom. All right, so we're going to start building. I told it to update Git as necessary because I want it to, and I may have to put this somewhere else just so it remembers to do it often. I don't want to be in control of having to add Git commits, but I'm perfectly fine if we have to. It already knows that we're going to be putting this on Netlify. I believe it's in the plan. So you can see there it's doing Next.js, TypeScript, Tailwind. We should be good for everything. So I'm just go ahead and say Yes, to everything. We're going to let it do its thing, come back to it when it's ready. We'll make sure the git commit is there. We'll preview it and see if we need to do any tweaks. If we do need to do some tweaks on the homepage of the design, that shouldn't be an issue. I like to do that first anyway. But once that's done, we'll have it go ahead and start building the other pages, and then we'll move on to deploying it to Netlify, putting it online, connecting the domain to it, and everything it takes to get it from A to Z. So hang in there. All right, so we're getting to the tail end of the initial build here. It's going to, so it's doing some git commits, perfect. And it's also going to launch a local server just so I can access and view. And since this is on another machine, so I don't have to tunnel through from my main computer that I'm using here, we're just going to open up a browser inside of Cursor. You can see I asked it to put on port 5454. Let's copy this. Let's open a new browser. There we go. So this is Claude Deploy. Okay, so it definitely, I mean, it looks like it built more than just the homepage. I'd expect the homepage to be a little more detailed than this, but it does look awesome overall. We're going to take off some of this stuff. Okay, so everything should be good. It's missing a lot of the sections. So it's asking me, what do we want to change? So let's run through a few things. All right, so something that's cool with Cursor's browser is you can actually edit just like a GUI. Click here, we can go ahead and select this. We can use, once we make a selection, we can reference it. So we could just, instead of saying, hey, that one specific spot on the website, I want you to change it, we can just select it and then go straight to the normal chat over here. And you can see that it's already highlighted that element. So we can specifically request changes to specific elements, which is really cool. Another thing is it's basically a GUI because you can go in and change the design elements of the content straight in just like this, which is really cool. But we're not going to do either of those things right now, simply because we are using Claude. So we're just going to focus on the bigger picture things right now before we go in and start refining. So it says, what would you like to change first? First off, I don't really like the color scheme, and it's missing a lot of the sections on the homepage. So we're going to fix those things first. The color scheme is okay, but when I look at it, it doesn't scream modern or AI to me. So it has to feel professional and secure, which I feel like the design definitely conveys that. But we also need to match the speed and modern feel of. Also, it looks like a lot of the sections on the homepage aren't there. When I click on any of the nav items, it takes me to nothing. We basically only have that big header section on the homepage. So I don't know if that was a mistake or if that was intentional, but I would expect there to be more information on the homepage in order to help sell this idea and sell the benefits. So something I'm going to do real quick also is I want to try and find some examples. I'm just going to go to OpenClaw as an example. I mean, this looks super high speed. It looks modern. It looks like space, which is cool. That's kind of what we want to go with, but we do want to have that secure, professional feel to it. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this and basically just tell AI what I just told you. If you look at openclaw.ai, you'll get an idea of kind of what we need to lean more towards. It is definitely more on the futuristic and modern and space side of things, which I think is cool. So I think if we could blend a little bit more of that into our secure professional design, I think that would be great. And since we can't put images into Claude, I'm just going to come over here and paste the image. I'm going to say, save this to our planning docs as kind of a loose example of the style that we're going for the website design. I'm also going to take a screenshot of this, which it can itself. Also save this as the current state of the website design. Okay, so you see we have those over there now. We say keep. Everything looks good. We go back to the terminal. All right, I've added some images in the planning docs. You'll see that they are an example of what the design looks like now, as well as the OpenClaw website, just to give an idea. We want to kind of blend these. All right, so let's let this run. Let's see what it looks like. Hopefully it'll update the design a little bit, make it a little more modern while still keeping the super professional look. It looks really good. So it's gonna work on that. And hopefully also add in those sections on the homepage. Okay, so we have our second revision here. We can see that we have content on the screen. We have a more modern look, which is great. Okay, so everything looks pretty good. There's some issues. You can see that's hard to read. That's hard to read. I think we're moving along nicely. Let's do some more design tweaks, and I think we're getting pretty darn close. So let's go through and add some specifics. I'm gonna go ahead and take a screenshot, and I'm gonna go over to Composer, and we're gonna mention some things there. Composer is really fast. Plus, we can directly attach the screenshot like we just did through Cursor. So we're going to run through this process of trying to tweak these things just to get them out of the way and so we can get going quickly. I'm also going to reference a few things. Say this area is a little hard to read, as you can see in the screenshot. Also, the white text on the white background. Something needs to be done design-wise about this area. Go down, we're going to pick another here. This text is a little hard to read because of the colors as well. Go ahead and do some of the other refinements. We can take out the part about Netlify here, as well as Next.js. That's not really relevant. We don't have any of these social platforms, so they can be removed. Same with this. For any of the links that go to pages or resources that we don't plan to build right now, let's just get rid of them. So what else we got? Say, make these edits. And we're going to let Composer run these. If you need context, refer to the plan. And just so it's aware, actually no. Okay. So let's let Composer do some refinements. Okay, so it's all done. It was really fast. Let's go down. Let's see if this has been updated. FAQ, yeah, it looks much better. We can read things, links removed. Perfect. This is going really smooth so far. I'm not 100% sold on the design right now, but in the spirit of speed over perfection, we're going to move forward. So I'm going to click keep all. I like it. It looks good. A little too much padding here. I will leave it though. I don't like the period. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, so what needs to be done next? I haven't read through all this copy. I usually like to do that at the end. Usually even after it's launched, fix the copy. It puts me in a better state of mind when I know it's the real deal rather than right now. So we'll just hold off on that. I think we're basically ready to go. Let me go over to, well, there's another task here. It says add animations and modern UI effects. I don't think we need that just yet. So we're going to ignore that and just leave it be. Now our context window is getting pretty big. Let's see what we're looking like. Nothing too crazy. Okay, we're not even halfway. So I think we can still get another good prompt out of this before having to clear it. Let's say this. Okay, I think the website looks great. I made a few refinements and changes, but I think it's good enough right now to be deployed. What I want to do is update the plan if we've made any changes that need to be updated. If not, that's fine. But we need to start looking at what the next steps are. So let's figure out what the next steps are going to include. I'm sure it's going to include setting up a payment, but also a waiting list. And another thing I want to do is just focus a little bit more on the sales aspect, making sure we include elements that help the page do the selling, such as scarcity or social proof or anything like that. Look for opportunities to put those in without fabricating information, of course. If these steps are already in the previous plan, then we can just update as necessary and you can let me know. My goal right now is to just get a plan together for the next steps so we can get it payment ready, waitlist ready, and deployed to Netlify so we can launch this today. Pretty exciting. Let's let that do its thing. All right, so let's come and look here what we got. So create a comprehensive launch plan. Okay, so it's recommended I do waitlist first and not the payment plan. So I'm good with that actually, because I need to keep this relatively limited at first, and I'll probably end up just processing these manually anyway. So we'll do that. Once it becomes more validated and demand is higher, we'll do some sort of a automated system so we can get launched faster. That's the goal, launch really fast. There has it typed in. Yes, build the waitlist form. So I push tab, it writes it in. Now I'm also going to say, once done, I'll run through it. Let me just talk instead of typing this. End up talking while I type anyway. Once done, I'll run through it locally, make sure it looks good. And then what we're going to do is make sure our Git is up to date. We're going to deploy it to a private GitHub repo, which hasn't been set up yet, but I can give you whatever information you need. And once it's there, we're going to go into Netlify and pull from GitHub. So the goal will be to, when we push updates to the master branch of GitHub, it should automatically go over to Netlify. Let's let it cook. All right, so while it's running through this, you can see it's breaking the website, perfectly normal. I'm going to take off this clicky button. Give it some more time to finish. You can see up here, it basically created a launch plan, and that's going to manage how we do this. So here we are building out the rest of this. We're going to update Git, and then we're going to publish it, and we'll successfully, hopefully by then, have a finished product that we can put out into the world and get some feedback. All right, so we're done here. Let's see what's been done. So it's running. We're getting an error, so we'll have to tell it that. From the dev branch, we need to do deploy from dev to master. Got it. Okay, so we're ready to test locally. tell it's giving an error. So while it's doing that, we're going to go to GitHub and set up a repo. All right, so let's create a new repository. We're going to call it claw deploy. All right, we set up there, copy this. All right, so we got this working now, so we can kind of do our testing. Let's just look through. Yeah, looking pretty slick so far. You know, we should probably test it with mobile as well. Overall, not bad. And we have some links. Not all of them have pages. So we're not quite ready to launch yet because we have essentially pages that we're linking to that don't exist. And it looks like we don't have a menu on mobile. So we're going to have to do some more refinement for sure. But let's go ahead and do a few of these next steps. So I've set up a repo here. We'll tell it to stay in the dev branch. And actually, it may have been a better idea to run this in Cursor because Cursor has built-in Git features. So probably should just ran this in a normal window, but it is what it is. Okay, this is perfect. So we'll go ahead and click allow here. You have login device. Looks like it's continuing. Perfect. All right, so code is pushed. Everything looks good to go. Before clearing the context, I always like to just make sure that the plan is up to date. Now we can clear context and start doing some revisions. Kind of starting from the beginning, but it's okay. Check out the planning docs to know where we're at so far in this project. And once you understand it, let me know because we're going to have some design revisions to fix. So now that it knows what we want to do, let's tell it some of the issues. Okay, so that was a lot, but let's get these revisions implemented. And let's see where we're at after that. All right, so this is looking pretty cool. I like this. I like the rainbow color. I think that really adds to the futuristic feel of it. 24 hours? At the push. But I think it's doable for sure. This looks really good. I like this most recent update. Yeah, I like this. This looks good. So let's tell Claude they did a good job. Great job. Looks good. Go ahead and commit the changes and let's go ahead and push it to master. And then once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and go into Netlify and connect it to GitHub and we'll just take it from there. I'll take out the last part so Claude doesn't think I'm running solo after this. Connect it. All right, getting closer. So this shouldn't take long. Commit, push. All right, push it to master. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to pull up Netlify here. We're going to import from Git, and that looks good. So we have this connected. So we're going to go ahead and click on it. Let's call the project name clawboy.netlify. That looks good. Branch to deploy, master. Let's see if Claude gave us these specific instructions here. Choose master, npm run build, publish directory, next. All right. Any special envs? I don't think so. Deploy, Claude deploy. Awesome. That's in progress. We already have a domain. We were to add a domain we already have. Pending DNS verification. We're just going to go for this. So just on my DNS, I'm going to go over here and we're going to create, we're just going to do CNAME, nothing. Here's the value. All right, so that looks good. So alias is essentially a CNAME for the root domain. So we're going to choose alias here. And then as a fallback, we can set an A record pointing to this. Okay, it's not going to let us do both of those. But this should be all we need. We need to verify. All right, verification successful. Now it's building the certificate. So let's get this window out of the way. All right, so we have this set up, but it's not secure because we don't have our SSL. So now instead of the wildcard that we had, the star here, we're just going to do the www. Give it another go. Let's go over here, Claude deploy. All right, so let's get rid of this HTTPS. Just for now, we're going to view the insecure website. But now you can see we have clawdeploy.io, a brand new company, started today, 100% with AI. We used Cursor, Netlify, Claude, Cursor's Composer. We used Cursor's browser, a bunch of tools here that we've used to make this actually happen. So hopefully you learned something in this process, maybe something that you haven't done before. The next thing we're going to do is move on to the actual marketing and validation. So getting our first initial users, getting their feedback and the validation and getting that whole process started. That's probably going to be a completely different video just for the sake of time. But if this was helpful, please subscribe. Check the links in the description. I'm going to put some stuff there. I don't know what it even is going to be yet, but I'm trying to add some value there. I do know I'm setting up a community to talk more about this type of stuff. So look forward to hopefully connecting with you guys in the community.